You're listening to the Joel Martin Mastery Podcast, your source of music news, stories, and 2-hour deep dive interviews with bands that have sold over 150 million albums. If you've been enjoying the podcast, please take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Now let's dive in to today's episode. Welcome to the Joel Martin Mastery Podcast. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We are joined by a very special guest. He's achieved a level of mastery as a singer-songwriter, as well as the frontman for the multi-platinum selling and Juno Award-winning band, the Strumbellas and Kadeema and Ascot Royals. So welcome to the podcast, Jimmy Chauveau. Jimmy, how are you? And with the FIFA World Cup, are they playing soccer or football?
So this is an ongoing joke between Izzy and myself. Obviously, I was born in England. I spent a lot of my life there till I was 13. And I call it football. I am not offended if anybody calls it soccer. I don't really care. As long as you're enjoying it, it's all good. But I am doing well this morning, waking up slowly as usual. Joel, how are you doing?
I am doing great. We have here in Ottawa Blues Fest, which is one of the biggest festivals in Canada. It's 9 days over 2 weeks, so there's a little gap on a Monday, Tuesday, but I get the full pass every year. I'm there every day. So I've been I took in Limp Bizkit, and then I took in the Lumineers, and then I took in Lord Huron last night, which was amazing. And then I'm back for the Sheepdogs and the Guess Who, which is a good double header coming up. So I've been taking in the rock and roll over the last few weeks.
Dude, how is Limp Bizkit?
It was awesome. What's funny is I remember being, let's see, like 12 years old when their debut came out, $3 Bill Y'all. I was a fan. And then Significant Other, I was old enough to buy that album myself, Nookie and Break Stuff and In Together Now. So I've been a lifelong fan. And I had never seen them in concert somehow. And then 2 years ago, I went road trip Ottawa to Toronto to see them. So I finally saw them. And now 2 years later, they're playing here in Ottawa. And I'm like, all right, we're going to double down. We're going to see them again. So it was awesome. It was the biggest crowd. You can fit up to 40,000 people at Blues Fest. And they hit capacity that day.
That's wild. I so want to say it. Like I said, I jumped on a bit later with Chocolate Starfish and then kind of went back. But it was one of those that, yeah, I was living in Scotland at the time. And I remember my mom coming in being like, what are you listening to? What is this? And I'm just like loving it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard for parents to take it seriously when the band's called Limp Bizkit and the album's called Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, that's wild. That's a perfect. I got to go up for Blues Fest. I've never seen it. I believe that Strums played it before my tenure, kind of thing. But looking at that crowd, that line, was that the one that Angine de Poitrine? I'm gonna pronounce it
So
terribly.
that's tonight.
That's tonight. Oh, are you going for that?
So, okay, hear me out before I get ripped apart. I bought the full 9-day pass, and then
Yeah.
there's a few days where I have friends that want to go where I give them the pass. So tonight, when I bought the pass months ago, Angine de Poitrine was an unknown band. They were opening on a side stage. And the headliner tonight, so there's Sheryl Crow and there's Ella Langley. And Ella Langley wasn't that big when this was announced, and Angine de Poitrine was unknown. So I was like, okay, well, it's country night. I'll pass this on to a friend. And since then, Angine de Poitrine becomes the hottest band in the world. They just played Montreal Jazz Fest. 100,000 people came out. It was the biggest attendance ever at Montreal Jazz Fest for this instrumental duo of aliens playing microtonal music. So I sold it. And then since then, Ella Langley became the hottest artist in the world. Choosing Texas went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. She's the new Shania Twain. So I've discovered Angine de Poitrine since then. And people are like, well, you have the full pass. Like, you have a ticket to see them. And I look which day it is. And I go, oh, man, I sold the ticket. So they moved them from a random side stage at 6 o'clock, and they actually bumped an artist down and they moved them. So they're Angine de Poitrine's on the main stage opening for Sheryl Crow and Ella Langley, which is like the weirdest combo.
What a lovely mashup. That's so it's amazing to see when those groups just kind of and I think it's needed right now. I think a lot of the stuff is going to this AI sort of weird scape. So everybody saw that come through, and I think that it's talking about Jazz Fest, Chad, our drummer from Kadeema, was there, and he was like, it was unbelievable. It was like you look at it, you see the lights, everybody's dancing, everybody's moving, and it's just one of those magic sort of moments. But I get it, I get it. I've been there where I've been like, "Oh, I'm not gonna go tonight, and then I'm like, oh wait, that band was playing.
See, I
But
think
yeah.
it works because they're incredible musicians. So it's like they can back up the weirdness because they're that good at their instruments.
Yeah, and just real authentic humans in crazy suits, which I genuinely like speaking, I could not do it. I'm not near a musician of that caliber to be able to do it while being in this kind of thing. I couldn't imagine it. And we all have like our different theories at Jam where we're like, they've got to have like chat back mics that they can kind of like switch to their text and be like, okay, this isn't working, something's going. You know what I mean? Like in those, I don't even want to begin to think because I struggle when I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Have you ever seen them do interviews?
It's so good with the language that they've like.
Yeah, so they have their own like alien language, and then they have, I don't know, their manager on stage with them, and a reporter will ask a question, and they'll speak in alien to the manager, which is just gibberish, and then the manager answers like he understands alien. They're all in. I love it.
It's so good. It's so good. You love to see it.
So you mentioned that you grew up in England, Scotland, then you moved to Ontario. It's Brantford, right? That you moved to?
Straight to the lovely Brentford. Yeah, yeah.
Brantford. And you grew up in Chertsey, England? Chertsey?
So I was born in Chertsey, but I grew up in a little town called Egham, which was it's in Surrey. It's just like southwest of London. It's not the nicest spot, but it was home for a long time, and we loved it.
And what are the highlights of Egham?
Honestly, like, so we were very close to the football. So my dad had season tickets for Tottenham. So from a very, very young age, we were lucky enough to go and enjoy football and kind of gain that love. And it was one of those that my mum and my dad split kind of thing. And then after that, like with my mum and our stepdad, we moved to Scotland and then moved to Canada, which I love Canada. Canada has been home for the past 24 years. So finally got my citizenship at the start of the year kind of thing. Finally. But it's one of those that, yeah, it's just like, it's kind of led you on this journey that like I met my best friend ever in Scotland and then or one of my best friends ever in Scotland, and then moved to Canada, and still to stay in touch. And he plays in a band as well too. His name's Hamish. He plays in a band called Vacovi, who are starting to like really pick up over in Scotland and become a big band. So it's kind of it's weird. It's like you look at these lanes that you kind of like, if this didn't happen, then I wouldn't be here, then I wouldn't be playing for Strums, then I wouldn't have met Hamish if we didn't go to Scotland. And it's a weird thing of all this like come together of magic that is exciting and terrifying at the same time, because you feel like if I just would have turned right here instead of left, maybe it would be a complete different story. But I'm here and I'm grateful for it. So yeah.
If the Strumbellas came out as a band back when the garage bands were big and they were all the White Stripes, the Hives, the Vines, you guys would have been the Strums, I think.
The Strums, yeah, and you can see like that aggressive Z on the end instead of an S kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or Strums 41. It was the Sum 41 video that they did.
Your friend's band that's blowing up in Scotland, you guys will have to swap shows where they would come play a big show here with the Strumbellas and would go play a big show there with them.
I would love that. I don't know if the genre. Well, saying that, you just said Angine de Poitrine is opening for Cheryl Crow, is it?
Yeah, the mashup we didn't know we needed.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing that I love that about festivals as well too. So maybe like a festival sort of idea. But yeah, Vukovi and Strumbellas, and then maybe Kadeema, like first of three opening. That'd be rad. That'd be
And
rad.
then you acoustic at the very start. You could do a whole triple bill by
Yeah,
yourself.
everybody wants to see
And then
that.
you could start your rap career as the fourth artist on the bill.
Yeah, and then DJ set to walk everybody out because they'll hate me.
The strangest double bill I've seen, we're talking about how festivals you can have kind of random artists. I once saw Ice Cube open for Kiss.
That's that's kind of cool though. That'd be a bit wild. I must admit I haven't dug into Kiss. I've not been like a big fan of Kiss, but hey, I that's my thing. Like this past couple of years is like we have so many friends in like different bands and different groups and stuff. So anytime I can, it's that sort of yes mentality of like if somebody goes, "Hey, going to this show," or "Hey, I'm playing this show. Do you want to come out?" I'm trying now to have it because it's so easy in this industry when we're playing gigs every weekend and you're just gassed for the 3 days that you're home kind of thing before you head back out again to just hide away and play video games and watch movies and do absolutely nothing. So I'm just trying to like be that more present and be like, oh yeah, let's do it. What gig is this? Okay, we're seeing this Norwegian metal band. Sweet. Okay, yeah, cool. I'll bring my earplugs and have some fun.
I like to start these interviews by sharing with the listeners how the guests and I know each other, just to show the importance of networking in the music industry. So, in our case, we actually went to the same college at the same time, but in two different programs. So, in 2009, 2010, I was in the entertainment business management program at Metalworks Institute, and I believe you were in the studio recording program. So we didn't know each other back then, but we were on the same campus. And then if we move forward all the way to 2022, you had just become the front man for the Strumbellas, and they were playing at the Ottawa Dragon Boat Festival. So I came out and I saw the band there. So that's my first time seeing the band, was right near your debut. And then just a few months ago, I did an interview with former I Mother Earth frontman Brian Byrne. And during the interview, I asked him, "Hey, what are some of the highlights of the touring you've been doing recently?" And he said, when you came on stage and you performed a Deftones song with him. So I sent you that clip. You said, "Hey, that's awesome. Brian's amazing." And that's how we started a dialogue. So then I add you on Instagram. And when I go to add you on Facebook, I see that we've been friends on Facebook for 13 years. And I'm like, that's weird. And when I looked into it, it's that we had both gone to the same college together. And in your band at the time, Ascot Royals, I knew two other members in the band and I had gone to see you guys play. So I was a fan of the band, but I didn't know you back then. And that takes us to today. Once we figured all that out, I'm like, well, I'm a fan of yours and all the bands you've been a part of. I would love to honor your career with an interview. And here we are today.
Thank you for having me. And also I'm a fan of yours as well too. And yeah, it's just wild those sort of like full circle moments that happen where you're just like, this is crazy. Like, and yeah, chatting about Brian, man, it was one of those that like he reached out to me at the start of the year and we had a phone call and it was like the first time properly chatting to each other kind of thing on the phone. And immediate, just like best mates, kind of, I love that guy to pieces, like immediately. And it was one of those that, yeah, sharing the stage with him was not something I took lightly. And it was wild. It was so cool to see because he's just like, well, you chatted to him. It's one of those that he just, it's positive. It's just like lovely, gentle, nurturing energy that is just so excited for all of it, which I love it. I love it. He's such a rad dude. And then yeah, having it where it's just like it's crazy. It's just like we were basically rubbing shoulders in school. And then it was like the full circle moment to come back. So it's rad and I'm grateful to be here with you today. And
That's
thank you.
awesome. We got so much to talk about. And there's only one way to kick off this interview powerfully, and that's with a little help from Brian Byrne. So I have some kind words sent here from the legend himself. And Brian says, Jimmy is a stellar singer, songwriter, and performer. And he really pays attention to the details when he puts things together. He's self deprecating and full of love and humor. Every single time I've been around him, he just brings a warmth and a comfort, as well as the idea of building community and collaborative efforts via music. He's an absolute rarity in this world, and he'll never be lost on me. I admire him with everything in my heart, and he's somebody I hope to be. That's from Brian Byrne.
Oh, dude, no, like I hope to be him because he's lovely, man. That's truly lovely, honestly. I am yeah, it's one of those moments that when you just turn around, you're like, I'm so grateful to have that person in my life. It was one of those that we crossed paths and I'm like, this is so needed. Like, and I'm just entirely grateful. It's funny because we're trying to like figure out a weekend that I can come up to him kind of thing, and that like me and my partner are both off kind of thing for that weekend, and he's off as well too because they're always touring and playing shows. And yeah, he's so lovely. I could gush about him for the next remainder of this interview, but yeah, he's just magic, and I'm so grateful that we got to cross paths and then share the stage together as well too.
I've been an I Mother Earth fan since 1999, so it was amazing. I've seen them so many times in concert, so it was amazing to sit down and chat with him. And he's such a lovely guy, like you mentioned. When he said that you came on stage and performed a Deftones song, in the interview I said it wasn't on my bingo card to have the Strumbellas frontman cover the Deftones, but I think I saw someone film that. Right, you can watch that online, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody took a clip of it, and I watched back, and it was rad too because Tal is so I had a love. I had a like I always like loved Deftones, but didn't really dig in too hard to it. And then Tal actually got me back into them properly. It's one of Tal's favorite bands of all time. And so when Brian asked, I was like, well, we got to bring Tal on stage. And literally the time that we were running through it for the practice just before the show, Tal starts playing and he has the exact sample going through the PA of like the intro, that kind of cool sound. And all of us just kind of like, and I got goosebumps. And then it was just me and Brian rocking out. And then Tal snapped the string the first time playing it. Um, but yeah, it was wild because it was one of those things that I think as an artist and a musician, you kind of want to put yourself outside of your comfort zone and outside of your bubble to kind of just get like more knowledge of what you're doing in a different sort of way. So I turned to Brian and I was like, because we did Autumn on Drugs as well too, the I Am Mother Earth tune, which is a fantastic song and it's so beautifully arranged and it's
The
such a
harmonies
different
are
play.
amazing.
Dude, and my voice, it's so different for my voice kind of thing. And same thing with Deftones, like doing this stuff, it was you should have heard the first couple run throughs. I was up here in my office singing into this guy, and my poor girlfriend was downstairs hearing me go, that's not where it is. That's not where it is. That's not, and it's almost like sort of sitting back and letting the notes breathe a bit more. And I have to admit, I was, for lack of a better word, shitting myself the whole time, kind of thing, as we were going through. But it was one of those things that it was such a nice experience to go through, and then also try and do the justice for Autumn on Drugs by Our Mother Earth. And I was just sat there being like, that's the dude that sang this properly. And I'm like, I gotta do it right, Brett. Like,
Is Autumn on Drugs the chorus that's the California wave?
yeah, yeah, you
Dude,
got
those
it.
harmonies. So during the Brian interview, I said, man, the harmonies on Autumn on Drugs are chef's kiss. And he goes, I can't take credit. He's like, that's Jag singing the harmonies.
Dude, it was wild, but it felt so good and just so much fun. And it's like we got photos back from that night, and it's just Brian and I hugging a lot. But yeah, such a good human being, such a humble human being, and it just goes to show, obviously, like it's like leaving impressions on each other as we're going through this thing, because the music industry is so vast, but at the same time, it's such a small little bubble of human beings. So it's just being nice and treating others how you want to be treated, kind of thing, as you're going through, because we've had it where it's been like security guys or techs on the stage who I'm grateful for every single one of their positions kind of thing being like, oh, you're Ascot Royals. Like even I remember I think it was at that Dragon Boat show that we played, where it was one of those things that like this guy came out and he goes, I remember you from like 8 years ago with Ascot. You guys are so friendly. I think you grabbed me a coffee or something. And I'm like, don't remember, but yeah, fuck yeah. Let's, you know what I mean? And sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear and I keep swearing
Absolutely.
down.
If that is the purest expression, then go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to, but it slips out every now and then. But yeah, it's just yeah, being lovely and being gentle and being friendly to everybody that you come across because it's the same thing with the fans. Nobody knows if you've just traveled 24 hours to get there, you've had no sleep and you're tired. It's like you gotta be good and be a part and put the best show you can on every single time. And that goes from whoever it is, wherever it is. So yeah.
So when you and Brian covered the Deftones, it was in the style of the Deftones. But now I have an appetite for the Deftones in the style of the Strumbellas. I feel like you guys as a band with group chorus, with some piano, some violin, I feel like you could have a viral Deftones cover.
That would be like little stomp clappy, like just like the double time on the old right hand, and that could be cool. I'll suggest it for sure. I don't know if I'll get poo-pooed, but I'll give it a shot for sure. I'll try anything.
So we're going to do a full 2 hour deep dive. We're going to cover your life, your career, your discography. There's so much to get to going through all the different bands you've been in, all the things that you're up to now. I want to get started all the way back at the beginning. Where does this love of music come from? Are there some early memories, earliest musical memories that jump out to you where this love started?
So honestly, like it's a couple of things. It's my mom and dad both listened to very good music, so it was always in the household. It was always like in the car as we were driving anywhere, kind of thing. To this day, I remember I was Orson Welles' The War of the Worlds. That album came on in the car when we were driving to the football, and it was my dad playing it, and I thought it was real. Like when it first
You thought it was
broadcasted
a
on
news report?
thought it was a news report, and I don't think I slept for like 2 weeks. I must have been 6 or 7, and I was just freaking out the whole time. And my dad was like, "Listen, son, it's not real. It's just a piece of art. Don't worry about it." And I'm like, "Oh, I can't sleep. They're coming to get us." And then from then, obviously, like I was just like grateful for the music that was in my household all the time. And then my nan actually was a huge Queen fan. She sang. Um, she did a lot of stage shows and stuff like that as well too. But she had the Queen music videos on VHS, and I just remember we would sit there and we put them in front to back, go through, and it would be like breakthrough and stuff like that. And immediately I'd start trying to mimic what he was doing. I still can't mimic what he was doing,
I don't think
but I
anyone
try.
can mimic what he does.
Nobody can get close. Like he's magic. And it was one of those that like she kind of gave me some guidance and some training without even realizing it on both sides, kind of thing. And I'll never forget as well too. She came out. She passed a couple of years ago, but she came out to Canada, and I was practicing, and I just remember a slap upside the head, and she goes, "Lift your palate, boy." And I just, anytime I'm falling a bit flat live now, I just hear her voice in my head saying, "Lift that palate, boy." And yeah, it's wild. It's a very like my dad was a drummer as well too. So it's a very sort of like my brother actually, Ben, who you would have met through the Ascot's days. He played keys for us, and he played a lot of keyboards growing up. He played a lot of guitar, and then we actually started our basement high school band together that had 3 shows. I think we played to maybe 7 people total. But yeah, it was just rad, just very, very musical, very lucky to have just music everywhere. And it's one of those things that I didn't know that that wasn't like a norm kind of thing because I see obviously friends' families and like my partner's families and stuff, and it's like music's a very big thing for them, but it's not a consistent that's like running in the house all the time kind of thing. And yeah, I love coming home and still my mum's playing music all throughout the day, and we'll be chatting, and I'll be like, I can't actually hear you. I'm too focused on this music going on. But yeah, it's definitely become like a passion and a love and a medication in some sort of way for me.
It's pretty amazing that your first example of a front man was the greatest frontman of all time with Freddie Mercury. Like you through osmosis, you're like you learned that's what a frontman should be.
Oh, and it's wild because it's funny. Like when you get into that sort of flow state live, you start doing these maneuvers, and it's like just embedded from watching the greatest one on earth do it. And I'm just like, oh, I've totally lifted that, but I'm making it my own. But I've totally lifted that, and it's just yeah, it was just watching him like throughout the years was just like incredible. So
If you start getting the crowd to sing the ayo, ayo, then we
yeah,
know where that came from now.
literally, they'll be like, you're stealing that. We've seen that before, and it was better before.
The high school band you played in with your brother, what was the band name?
It was the Tottenham nickname, which was the Lily Whites, we were called. And it was like so much fun just to kind of that was I always say this in like when you're jamming with a group of people, whether it be this band, that band, or say even when we're just like we had Sky Wallace come out with us to play a couple tunes for a festival that we were both playing. So she came on as guest artist. Same thing with Serena Ryder did the same. Like, and it's those moments where you just like click and you don't realize it's happening, and then it switches on, and you're like, oh, something really. Same thing with Brian when we started locking in. It's there's no other drug like it on the planet. It's one of those things that it just kind of makes you just feel like you're floating almost because it's like and I remember the band we weren't that great because we were young, we were still finding our feet and figuring it out, but it was me, Jay, our drummer, my brother, and like I was playing guitar in that one, and I just remember I think we played like "Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor" or something along those lines by Arctic Monkeys, and we got through it, got through the whole song, and I just felt the hairs stand up, and we just kind of looked around, being like, "You felt that, right?" And then we moved in like a bassist and another guitarist and a keys player, I think, at one point, but it was a lot of fun finding that language, if like so to speak, where it's just like you don't know what's happening, but you want more of it kind of thing. And it was wild. So yeah, we played yeah like three shows, if that, to not a lot of people, but we did the thing and stepped on stage, and our hands were just shaking like mad, and we're just like gripping onto the guitar so hard, and like, but yeah, it was cool. I think I was about 16 when we
Is it
did that
true that
one.
you didn't pick
15.
up a guitar until you were 15?
Yeah, so I would always sing along to everything, and then the first guitar was actually my brother Ben. He bought me this black Epiphone, and he saw that I was just like writing in like my notepad kind of thing all the time, like different lyrics and just kind of using it as a therapy of such. And he turned around and he goes, "Hey, like I grabbed you this," and I was like, "This is the sweetest thing ever." And then so it was a lot of like me behind closed doors, just like working out just even like the tabs of songs to be like, okay, I've listened to this song a million times over, it's that to that to that to that, and then it grew and became that thing where it was like, okay, we're gonna do a band now, so let's write three songs, let's see how it goes. And we did, and the songs weren't the greatest, but it was magic to start flexing that muscle properly of trying to fit it in and make it make sense to you and then make it make sense to the listener. So it was good. I have a lot of gratitude for him coming home with that dodgy guitar
He gets a get out of jail free card for life just for that guitar, I think.
forever. And then obviously him coming into like we started Ascots together and Ascot Royals, and basically it was one of those that like he was so well versed at chatting to people and figuring out different things and like almost taking that managerial hat and putting that on. And yeah, like to this day, like I don't think we'd get near where we did with that band if it wasn't for Ben pushing that band and growing that band. And it's yeah, it's awesome.
When you're 15 and you get that guitar and you start practicing guitar, you're singing, you start songwriting, who were the musicians that you looked up to as kind of your idols that, hey, if I work on my vocals, if I work on my guitar, if I work on my songwriting, I could be like these people that I look up to?
So it was wild because like around that time, I was so all over the place with like my musical influences. Obviously, Queen has been a current the whole way through. The same thing with the Who as well too. I love those bands that were kind of gifted to me from like my gran and from my dad and from my mum. But then I kind of like I went into obviously the Led Zeppelin phase. I can't speak right now. But then when I was 13, I was in Scotland for a minute, and from there it was we lived there for probably about 9 months in Scotland, and I met my friend Hamish, who plays in a very good band called Vicovi. With that, we kind of went into like the heavier world of like your System of a Downs, Korn, Slipknot.
You're into the
It
new
was
metal.
Ulo and like Limp Bizkit. Like we said before, I had chocolate starfish and hot dog flavored water. And I was just like, this is what you can do this. And then I think around like 14, 15, I started to get into like your Lagwagons, you know, FX. Rancid was a huge one for me
More
for a
the punk
while.
scene.
Yeah, like I took probably a good 8 months of just listening to punk rock, and then, but then also like there was like a bit of hip hop in there. Biffy Clyro is a Scottish band that was just one of those just kept on with me. I'm not sure if it was around then or like more like 16 kind of thing. And then you had the UK indie rock surge of your Arctic Monkeys, Libertines, the Kooks. Like it was a very sort of big, wide scale of randomness that kind of, I don't know, it's more so instead of picking like genres and bands, it was like songs and then albums that that song was on would kind of affect me. Like clap your hands and
Franz
say yeah.
Ferdinand.
Yeah, like it was just like it was wild. It was just such a big time of consumption for me for music. And it's still the same thing. It's like if I find a song that I love, I'll jump into that album because I'm more of an album listener. And then from that, I'd go into like, okay, what's this close to? And like the deep dives on YouTube, which led into now the deep dives on Spotify and Apple Music and that sort of stuff. And just kind of like listening till it scratches that little itch in your brain that you're like, oh, there's something here that I love and I need to listen to tons of it because yeah, it's wild. It's like Deftones and stuff. Like I listen to a lot more variety of music and sounds and yeah, it's fun to keep your options open kind of thing with it because you never know when you'll get hit by something that just makes you go, oh, this is why I do the thing is because it makes me feel like this or it makes me feel like that. And yeah, it's a wild journey.
You think that listening to such a wide variety of genres helps you as a musician and songwriting because you can take, metal is great at guitar riffs, and it's like you can take guitar riffs from that genre, and with pop they have great vocal hooks, so I could take that. And do you feel like you're a better songwriter because you can take the best of all different genres versus someone that only listens to metal and only writes metal?
So that's the age-old question because I know for a lot of people that might work incredibly so for you. I just like I love to get inspired and I love to put myself like outside of my wheelhouse. So like same things with playing Deftones with Brian on stage or Autumn on Drugs with Brian on stage. It's like it's so outside that you learn new tricks with everything that you're doing. And then it's that sort of process of trying to bring it in and make it your own and figure out a way of doing it that's like original and organic and something that you can do every night as well too. Because obviously, if I'm pushing that hard each night, my voice is probably gonna go at some point, and then show 4 out of 5 might not be the best. So it's one of those things that obviously you kind of cater it to yourself. And for me, it works because it's just like I have such a brain that's just all over the place with this stuff that like if I can kind of get grounded but like if a song stops me in my tracks, I'm like, there's something here and I need to figure that out. And I don't know if I put myself into just one genre, first off, I wouldn't know what it would be because there's like obviously even with Kadeema now and Strumbellas, there's such very polarizingly different music groups that I kind of love because it's like there'll be a thing that I write and I go, okay, this is a bit more heavier. I'm gonna bring it over to Tao, or this is like a bit more lighter and a bit more emotional. Or I'm gonna bring it over to Strumbellas, or like you can kind of hear them as they take shape, and it. I don't know. I'm always like I just want everybody to be sort of like open to everything because it will probably influence you a lot more and you'll get more out of this music game and life and everything to have more coming in, if that makes sense.
Hypothetical question. You write a new song, it's incredible, but there's a big, heavy crunch guitar, but there's also violin and hand claps. Where does it go between Kadeema and the Strumbellas?
I think that would be my favorite thing on the planet because I'd probably bring it to both at the same time and be like, let's do this as a cross guy. Potentially,
Yeah, any takers, guys? Anyone want this song?
like, we'll have a big wrestling match to see who gets it.
At 15, you get that guitar and now music is your world. Before that, was there anything you wanted to be as a kid when you grew up before the whole vision of a career in music took place? My football player has to be in there. Anything else?
Yeah, so like never had this. I tried very hard at football or soccer, as you guys call it. Was never very good, and my size, I'm very short and quite easily to throw off the ball. But that being said, I just remembered I'd said to my dad that I wanted to be a rally car driver and a vet because I read somewhere that rally car drivers would like sometimes hit animals. I don't think that's an actual thing, but I was 7 at the time. So I was like, I want to be a vet as well. So I'd put the animals in my boot and then help them when I finished my race and hopefully won. I was a weird kid. I'm still a weird kid, but yeah, I was weirder back then.
If I met you at 12 years old, so this is a year before you move to Ontario, who would I be meeting? What was little Jimmy like back then at 12?
I was short, chubby, longer hair than right now. And I think I think that's when I fell in love with like Rage Against the Machine. So I'd probably have my Rage Against the Machine hoodie on. And I think I was like aggressive. Do you remember that aggressive inline skating? Like those rollerblades that had the little grinding like that you could use on the rails and stuff like that. And you thought you were the coolest thing ever. That's the kid you meet, and probably an absolute love for. I think that's when I got into Shenmue 1 and 2 for the Dreamcast, which very cool storytelling.
Shout
Your
out to the
father got
Dreamcast.
Oh, dude, it was I was glued to that thing, and then that, and like playing Halo with Hamish and watching Resident Evil 1, I think was that time. So probably in Scotland, and yeah, just like a lover of life because it was a lot of fun. It was wild because yeah, we moved over there, had no friends, but I met the nicest people in Scotland, and it's weird too how a place like that can affect you so hard, like even to this day. My girlfriend and I, Elizabeth, just went back for a wedding, and both of us were looking around being like, we should probably move to Glasgow at some point. We should probably move back to Scotland and kind of like keep that in our brains for the future when we can, because she's busy with her band, the Dream Eaters, and obviously I'm busy with the two bands here, so it doesn't make sense now, but maybe when we're old and grey, we can get some time in Scotland.
So let's dive into your career with Ascot Royals. How did you meet the other members besides your brother? I know how you met your brother. And where did the idea of starting a band together come from?
So, from like, so I actually got called in to like kind of try out. I guess they had a different singer to begin with. It was Joe Vinegar, Jesse Gilroy, Adam Martinelli, and my brother Ben, obviously, and then Scott Cunningham was on drums. And it was one of those things that they started this group in Hamilton at Mac, like a kind of a college band starting thing. And they had a singer who came out a couple of times, and then she got too busy, is what I gathered from it. And so I came up and like kind of sang just to Joe at the time and my brother. And he was like, "Oh, dude, you're incredible. Like, do you play any instruments? Like, could you be in the back kind of thing and like just kind of like sing harmonies and stuff with it?" And I was like, "Thank you so much. I barely play guitar very well." And he was such a great guitarist that I was like, "No, maybe not." So then like a few months went along, and I think my brother was really pushing for it, so I came in kind of thing. And then it became a thing of like instead of just doing covers and figuring out that stuff, like let's start an original band, let's call it this, and let's kind of like go forward. So they had almost like an initial jam thing prior to it, but it wasn't yet Ascot Royals. And then we started Ascots, and then yeah, and Adam left after probably about 2 years, and Jesse Gilroy came in to play bass, who was to this day one of the funkiest bassists I've ever seen in my life. It was crazy the amount, it like a flea style like feel to it, but like would not slap as much. And then it was crazy. And then yeah, we went on from there. Started writing songs, started getting better at writing songs. It was just like the more the merrier. I'd never forget it that we turned around and Ben booked our first show. I think it was like 4 months away. So we had to write probably about 8 songs to get a full set together and then learn 3 covers so we could like pepper the covers in as well too. And it was like the crunch time kind of made me go like, okay, I'm excited for this. Let's cook, let's go in, let's work. And then at the same time he was working in a bar in Brantford called Two Doors Down. And I think I was around like 18, 19-ish. And we had it where it was like, he's like, I'm doing these open mics on Monday now with the intent of you come out with your acoustic guitar and just play to the regulars or whoever's there kind of thing.
Get some
And
experience.
get some feel for being and dealing with the nerves of everything and being like, Jesus, I'm doing this thing and it's just me and I'm terrified. So it kind of built my confidence, built my chops for playing, writing, and it was very much dive feet first into this thing.
I love that the bar is called Two Doors Down. Can't call it Three Doors Down because you're gonna get in trouble.
You'll get in trouble. Yeah, you'd have to play those songs every minute of every day.
So you guys released the album Awkward When I Stop in 2009 and then Don't Let It Stop You in 2012. What thoughts, memories, emotions come back to you now when you think of those two albums that really kickstarted the adventure you've been on since then in the music industry?
Yeah, it was just it like I said, it's the best drug on the planet. And the thing that I'd never get over, like even at that level, having people sing the words that you wrote in a bedroom, like back to you with such conviction, and just like the the music as a whole, like I see it every day with Strums, where it's like now where it's like I could be playing a show like a big room, lots of people, and I look over this side and somebody's just bawling their eyes out to that song. And then I look over to the other side and somebody's like having the time of their life to that song. And it's so weird because it's I think I've never looked at it as such an art that could provoke so much emotion, but it's one of those things that like literally like when we do interviews with like radio and stuff like that, like, so what's the song about? And I hate that question because I'm like, people can get whatever they're needing from that. And I'm happy with that because obviously I wrote it from a place of I need to get this out as a therapy for myself. But I never want to kind of navigate somebody into you're going to feel like this listening to this. Obviously, sometimes it's very on the nose and it's very in your face of what that subject matter is. But it was wild to me to see people come together and like have people just singing that stuff. Even in Ascot's at the top of their lungs, we had Monster in the Closet, which was this song that we put together. And I don't even know if we have a proper recording of it, but I just will remember like we played Elmer Combo, the old Elmer Combo, for our CD release. And I just remember those moments of just having it where it's like we go to the stomp and clap and everybody's just shouting those words back. And I'm like, this is crazy because this song's helped me get over whatever I was going through at the time of writing that song. And now this song is helping me to have goosebumps and feel this feeling of like a celebration of whatever it may be for that person. They're just screaming it at the top of their lungs, and I'm like, it's cool. It's crazy. So yeah, it's just like the best therapy on the planet, I think.
A little bit into the career of Ascot Royals, you guys got a new drummer, Sam Stark. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't reach out to one Sam Stark. And I have some kind words. He says, honestly, Jimmy is like my best friend. The day I met him, we were sharing tunes from our laptops because that's what you did back in the day, LOL. We had shared love of music over Biffy Clyro, who you mentioned, and Frank Turner. He asked me to come audition for his band Ascot Royals, and from there, it was a lot of history. He's got the biggest heart and obviously one of the biggest voices around to this day. I call him an uncle to my children and a great friend. In the music business, his ability to make friends and sing like a mother effer is unmatched in my opinion. That's from Sam Stark.
Oh, I absolutely love that man so much. He was consoling me on Wednesday when England lost out of the World Cup. I like that guy. I've never seen somebody just with so much good, positive emotion and just such a lovely human being that is so well versed in his instrument as well too. And it's like whenever you're having a bad day, if Sam is your drummer, just have a look back at him during that set, and it is the guy's just a smile the whole time, and it's funny because we have like this relationship where like obviously me being in Toronto now, he's got the kids, he's down in Brantford. It's one of those that like with my travel and his travel for work, it's very kind of like ships in the night at times. So we have this thing where we're just like, listen, I'm gonna FaceTime you or like call you, and I'm like, if you don't pick up, there's no problem, but we're playing this game of tag together. So it's like we have the same routine each way where it's just like if I can't get to him, then I gotta call him kind of thing. And it's just one of those incredible, like another best mate, one of my favorite people on the planet as well too, where it's just like it's just such like you pick up where you left off. Like there's like maybe like seven people in my life that I can pick up with. And it's like we haven't skipped a beat and we're still 24 sleeping on the floor of somebody's house after a gig kind of a vibe. And I love him to pieces. And he's got the cutest kids as well too. So I'm grateful to be called an uncle.
With you guys missing each other's calls, you've become experts at leaving 30-second voice notes. That's how you catch up until you finally get a call going.
Yeah, just like the that's honestly that's some of my favorite things is like leaving these voice memos. Like just even if you're not calling, just having those voice memos come through. I feel like it's such a nicer way of kind of shooting the shit and having it where you're chatting and going through that stuff. So yeah, it's lovely. I have nothing but good things to say about Sammy. Very grateful for having him in my life.
So you guys released the new Skinny P in 2017. You got some amazing people involved with this EP. So you have Gavin Brown, amazing producer with Metric, Billy Talent, 3 Days Grace, The Tragically Hip. There's Eric Ratz, who's worked with Monster Truck, Arkells, Billy Talent. And there's Neil Sanderson, who I just interviewed a few weeks ago, drummer for 3 Days Grace. He started a record label and production company with Howard Benson called Judge and Jury Records. They're doing amazing things. Can you share how those three monster producers and musicians became involved with the album?
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure how we came across Rats, but obviously incredible human being, incredible just everything that he touches sounds so cool kind of thing. And then that being said, with the other two, it was one of those that it came through Casey Marshall, who was our manager for a while, was very good friends with Neil. And then we just kind of like got into rooms and just found ourselves writing and recording these things with these people that at the time I was like, oh, we have no right to be here with these guys. And it's just magic because it's like I love like the co-write sessions and the co-production and the kind of just putting yourself out there into those dynamics because you learn so much. Even if the song that you get isn't your favorite song on the planet, you learn a new technique or a new way of doing it or how this person does it. And it's a very vulnerable process to let somebody into that kind of thing, or how you work. So it was wild because it was just like we started rubbing shoulders with these greats, and I was just like, this is unreal, and a lot to thank for Casey Marshall to bring us into those, and then Slate Music as well too, who was like the publishing house for Ascot Royals at the time, and nothing but things to say about both of those as a whole.
In preparation for this interview, I went back, I listened to your entire discography across all three bands, and there's three songs I want to touch on from this EP. The song Can't Save Me Now has such an awesome groove. And I joked before that, oh, if you played a festival, you could debut your hip hop set or something. With Can't Save Me Now, I can, in the verses, I can totally hear like a remix where a rapper hops on and drops a hot verse.
Dude, so that was actually a wild one. That was I remember at the time I got very into 21 Pilots. Vessel had just come out, like just before the Blurry Face record that they had. And with that, I just like had this melody in my head that I'm sinking down to the bottom of the ocean. And I was just like, you can't save me now. No, you can't. And I was just like, I bought it to Tal and I was just like, dude, this is like the darkest love song that I think I'll ever write. And it was the closest thing at the time that I've written to like a love song. And no word of a lie, Tal and I sat down and I think it took us like 45 minutes to bang that one out. And then the production world was where we had a lot of fun of like bringing in the different elements and to be honest, it's one of those that like when Tal and I met and we started writing, I was like, oh, this is my dude. So it's one of those that like anytime I have a sort of like it could be the tiniest little idea ever. Like I think that I was in a dodgy shower backstage of one of the Strumbellas gigs and like just finished up. Obviously, I was by myself, and the shower was leaking and it was making this sound, this like almost rhythmic pattern on the shower curtain. And it sounded like it could be like a synth, sort of like I could hear some notes in it kind of thing. And I was stood there in my towel just recording this thing to a voice memo on my phone. And I was like, Tal will know what to do with this. And I come in and Tal's like, I play this to him. I'm like, dude, listen. I think I texted it to him actually because we were out west. And I turn him, I'm like, there's something in here. There's a synth pattern, but like a rhythmic thing happening that I'm feeling. And he's like, I got you. I got you. So we're gonna start working on that one soon. But it just kind of like, yeah, he's such a pro at just molding whatever nonsense that I come in with, and being kind of like gentle but firm with it as well too. Where he'll be like, okay, that's a cool line, but what are you trying to say? And I'll be like, one second, come back, and he'll be like, what are you trying to say with that? You're getting closer, and then I'll be like, he's like, there it is. That's what you're trying to put across. He's like, that's magic right there. That's going right into that verse or right into that chorus, and we have this ongoing joke that it's like it's a really good bridge. We're gonna take this and put this over here for the bridge. But yeah. Sorry, long story long. It's so much fun, like just like creating with that dude. And "Can't Save Me Now" is one of those that it's just there's songs that you'll work on for 6 months, and then there's songs that you'll work on for 30 minutes and just be like, oh, we did it! Like it's here, rad.
It's
And
funny
that
when
was a
when
pleasant
he's like,
surprise.
"Hey, what are you trying to say here?" You're like, "Wait, what am I trying to say here?"
I'm like, wait, yeah, I'm taking it off the rails a bit. Let's bring this back in, kind of thing. So
You're lucky you
yeah, it's a
have
lot.
him because almost anyone else, if you sent them that clip of the water, they'd be like, "Can you stop filming in the shower? Like, what are we doing here?"
Can you please stop texting me? I'm blocking your number.
It reminds me of Billie Eilish's brother, Phineas, who's amazing musician and producer. In the song Bad Guy, I'm the bad guy. That groove is a crosswalk. Like when you hit the thing and there's a sound,
No
Phineas
way.
heard it and it had like a rumble. So the chorus, I'm the bad guy, and then there's no, 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 no. Underneath, he went and he recorded the crosswalk, and that's the hook in the chorus. And it reminded me of you hearing the water and hearing melody in it.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, so at least I'm not utterly insane.
You might
Just a
be
little.
insane, but so are some of the other musical geniuses out there. So it's a fine line between genius and crazy, right? You might be right straddling it.
Sometimes you have to go a bit there to come a bit back. So, but yeah, that's wild. I never knew that. I'm gonna immediately after this podcast, like jump on and have a listen to
Go
that for
check out
sure.
that song, and you can, if you search YouTube, you can find a clip of him talking about taking that sound. The song Best Is Yet to Come. I love the big crunch guitar in that song. And that's an inspirational song. Have you ever had anyone, any fans reach out and be like, man, that's my jam. Like when I need to pick me up, I play Best Is Yet to Come.
It was wild. The feedback that we got from that one was very like overwhelming at times. But just lovely. Like it was like yeah, that was I believe that's the one that we first kind of like tried to push for like radio and had like a proper music video to it. Oh no, sorry. Think You're Better was the first one that we had like a proper music video with Steve Haining we did. But yeah, with Best Is Yet to Come, we had the video. We had like it was the first time of like, or probably like the second or third time of like doing the radio run throughs where like we were on tour with Big Rec, like the biggest shows we've ever done, kind of thing, and we were so grateful for them to bring us along. And we go in and we play like these radio cafeterias at like 8 a.m. kind of thing, playing that stuff. But yeah, the fan response to that one was unbelievable. People are like, this has really got me out of some dark times. So thank you, kind of thing, because it's I think we were kind of like writing it as a love letter to ourselves because obviously being a band at that level, it takes a lot of strain to go out and do the thing, but you just have to stay a nice person and happy and grateful and excited that you're doing the thing, even if you have a 12-hour drive before you get there with no sleep kind of thing and no place to stay when you get there. So it was almost like yeah, it was a rewarding one in that sense because it did help a lot more people than I thought it would when we were scribbling it out.
This episode has been brought to you by Mental Health for Metalheads by James Neeson. Research from mental health charities suggests that 1 in every 4 people struggles with mental illness at some point in their life. Unfortunately, much of the smiley, pastel colored self help industry is not targeted at people like you and I, people who eat, sleep, and breathe heavy metal. So, where do you turn when you love big riffs, but there's a war going on inside your head? Well, Mental Health for Metalheads is a self help workbook designed for and by hard rock and metal fans. It breaks down the greatest hits from the world of therapy and self help in a humorous and relatable way designed to educate and entertain. It brings together the best from psychology, psychiatry, neuroscience, philosophy, and lifestyle, and it discusses them in terms metal fans will enjoy. So, if you thought working on your mental health would be dry, think again. You can jumpstart your recovery and rock your way to well-being with Mental Health for Metalheads by James Neeson, which is available now on Amazon or by clicking the link in this episode's description. The final song on that EP that I want to touch on is the song Empires. This is an awesome song with an undeniable chorus, and there's a special guest on this song. What can you tell us about Empires?
So Gianni from Walk Off the Earth was and is one of the sweetest guys on the planet. We had this track called Empires, and we fleshed it out so far, and then we were like, how do we get this thing like going? And then somehow his name got up and got brought up, and he was working in Burlington at the time, I think it was. And it was so close that we just like went in, retracked everything, kind of like got everything going, and then kind of did it as a featuring with him and just like a collaboration. And like I said, it was one of those moments that I was like, oh, this is rad. Like this is like really getting legs kind of thing now. And it was a song that maybe would have been like a sort of B for us. But then the work that he did made us go like, this is fantastic. We need to bring it into the mold. And it's one of those sleeper tunes as well too, because it didn't get like a radio campaign or didn't get a single drop. It was more so just on there on the EP, and I listened back and yeah, I'm still like blown away of everything that we've done, and like that's one of those that kind of like I forget about it sometimes, and I go back for a little pick me up, and I'm like, this song's got some legs. This is rad.
That's the last song on the EP, right?
Yeah, I believe so. It's
Yeah, so
been a minute.
you think you're done, and then you hit them with Empires at the end.
Yeah, it's fun stuff, man. It's cool.
I have some kind words from the big boss man himself, Walk Off the Earth frontman, Gianni Illuminati. He says, I had the pleasure of spending time in the studio with Jimmy years ago, and he was exactly the kind of person you hope to work with. Talented, humble, and always bringing a great energy in the room. I was genuinely excited when I heard he'd been chosen to front the Strumbellas, and it's been amazing to watch him absolutely thrive in that role. He has an incredible voice, a real gift for connecting with people, and I couldn't be happier to see all of his success. That's from Johnny Walk Off the Earth.
Oh my God, that this is what I didn't know this was gonna happen with our podcast. I'm about to tear up right now. Yeah, just a lovely human being. They're like two of the hardest workers. Well, the whole band is like in the industry right now. It's one of those things that it's crazy. We were lucky enough to pop out to, I think it was last year. My years are all askew, but we saw them at Bad Stage, which is now the RBC stage. I guess it is.
Formerly the
They
Molson Amphitheater, formerly whatever it was before that.
and like he had us out and I was just sat there with my jaw to the floor because they're so busy with everything social media YouTube wise, and then to put on a show like that as well too. I was just like, these guys are workers, man. This is crazy. And like I said, just the nicest people on the planet, and very humble, very, very humble. I remember Sarah came into those sessions and was just like, I was like, do you want to sing on it? You'd probably do a better job than me. And she was like, no, you're killing. And it was so lovely just to see warm, nice human beings who are very, very on top of their game, if that makes sense.
I had their drummer Joel out for an interview, and I saw them live. There's a new venue here in Ottawa called the Hard Rock Live, and it fits about 2,200 people. And that's the first show I saw there was Walk Off the Earth. So I finally caught them, I think, last year, and it was amazing.
They're so good. They're so good. I was just blown away, as I said, and it's good to see them well. And their kids are killers as well too. It's one of those things that they came out, and I was just like, those bits where like it starts to make your like back hurt, and you're like, am I a bit old to be doing this still? Like, because you see these young kids just shredding, and I was pleasantly blown away by that.
Their kids have more streams on Spotify than most other bands. Like the kids have a song that has 32 million spins, and you're like, this is insane.
Yeah, I'm blown away, and fair play to it because they're little rippers. So it's one of those things that like watching them go, I'm like, yeah, they deserve every last bit of that because it's amazing to see live.
That would be an amazing band name for them, the Little Rippers. That would be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
July 8th, 2019, Ascot Royals announces that their upcoming show will be their last. Was it just time for that project to end and something new to start?
Yeah, there was a lot of more like moving parts at the time. It becomes that thing that with Ascots we kind of hit that threshold where it wasn't paying our bills. It was one of those things that it was still more of a passion project than anything. And understandably so, there was like a bunch of guys in the band that wanted to focus on like their proper careers, couldn't take as much time off of the work kind of thing, and have kids and have families and stuff like that. So from that, like with respect, like Tal and I decided to wanted to keep it going kind of thing, and we ended up just kind of like parting ways and putting a respect to the name rather than having another lineup change or anything along those lines. We just wanted to kind of like go forward with something else. So that's when like a, I want to say like 9 months after we started up Kadeema and had that kind of thing going. But it was just that natural progression of like it had run its course, and the last tour we were on, it just felt like it was a few steps away of getting to that messy time of being like, what are we doing? Where are we at? Like, because it was very tense and like, yeah, it was a bunch of moving parts at the same time that it just felt like, okay, let's put this to rest now because like we love each other now and we don't want to be in that wheelhouse of being like oh, this job is the worst and it doesn't even pay the bills kind of thing. But nothing but love for every single person in that group, or has been in that group. It was some of the best years of my life kind of thing. And yeah, it was very sad. It was we weren't really a sunglasses band ever, but that gig, I think it was What the Fest we played, or whatever it was called at the time. We had sunglasses on. We were all very teary-eyed, and it was a lot of big hugs and goodbyes kind of thing to the audience. And yeah, the big old shiny sunglasses to cover up my big old swollen eyes.
In November of 2019, you guys announced this new project, Kadeema. And then June of 2020, you released the album Napoleon Torn Apart. Can you share the story behind the band name and then the story behind that album name, which is a unique one?
So the band name is a city that Tao grew up in, and the English translation is forward. And then with Napoleon Torn Apart, it was just like we had a gang of songs that we worked with Isaac Carpenter, who was playing with AWOL Nation at the time, and now he's drumming for Guns N' Roses. Incredible human being. Basically, we did a couple of writing sessions with him, and we were just like sat there going, this feels really good and really organic. It felt like we were just starting a band in his house in Glendale. And so we decided to record with him. And yeah, it was one of those things that like it just came together so well. And then Napoleon Torn Apart, we had the tracks, we had the album, we had it ready to go. We were just sat there and it was just like a kind of funny play on words of the fact of like this fragile ego being broken down kind of thing. And then who was it? It was one of those things that I can't even remember any of the names right now, but basically there was the Mechanical Turk was it's loosely based to chess in a weird way that was a happy accident that we didn't even realize. So from that, it was Napoleon was playing against, I'm going to get this completely wrong right now, but playing against an automated machine, but it was an actual Turkish man underneath that they called the Mechanical Turk, and he lost to him. And there's a whole thing that like our new EP is going to be called The Mechanical Turk, but it's just like a play on the play of words that we have
It's so
Napoleon
meta.
torn. It's bloody dumb, but it's one of those things that like we just had this whole album ready to go and super excited and thoughts of touring. And dude, there was a Scotiabank commercial that named us in there and it was going to go worldwide for Gotta Get It, which was the first single off. But then obviously COVID kind of reared its head around and put everything, put a bit of a spanner in the works for everything, because it's very hard to promote a single called Got to Get It when there's COVID around. It's kind of like a funny, not funny at the time, but now looking back, I'm kind of laughing at the whole situation. Not the extremity of COVID. I know that it was very horrible, but trying to release a single called Bloody Gotta Get It didn't work out too well at that time.
So March of 2020 is kind of the official start date of the pandemic. You guys released this album in June of 2020. What were the challenges in writing, recording, and releasing an album during such dark and uncertain times?
We had the album sort of ready to go at that point. We were sat on it for a bit. Um, but we had it where it was one of those that like Tal and I were doing a lot of those live streams on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. So it was the weirdest thing because we play like the Rose Theatre in Burlington, which is this gorgeous, stunning big venue. And there was four, five, six, seven of us in the whole building with plexiglass things up and stuff. But then obviously you go back and you look back at the comments and a lot of people were like craving just like music and craving a sort of escape, which I always think that these shows are like we're so lucky to harness this thing that can make people forget about all the noise outside of the venue or the grounds that you're playing on for whether it be 60 minutes, 45 minutes or 90 minutes. It's one of those things that you kind of like you go in and you get lost. And I think that that sort of art form is always going to be needed in life because I know if I'm having a funk of a week, like we went out and saw Paco and Catriel, and it was like their Free Spirits tour. And I went in and I just came and I left and I was just floating as I was walking along and I was just like, oh, this is amazing. This is an escape that people need. But yeah, there was a fear that like one, I wouldn't get back to England to see my dad again, and then two, that we'd never play a note of music in front of actual live human beings rather than just being because we loved and we hated them. Like it's very weird playing with no sort of energy coming back because obviously you're just playing to a camera. But we realized what we were doing and how helpful it was for other people as well as us to perform.
So there's two songs on the album that I want to touch on. The song Average Paranoid, your low voice, sir, it's quite sensual. Have you ever considered doing like a crooner album, like a Michael Bublé album with the low crooner voice? I feel like when you play that song live, I mean, is there an onslaught of women throwing bras and panties on stage? Am I just making this all up in my mind?
I love that part of my voice because it's one of those breaker songs like in the middle of a set, like because a lot of stuff's full steam, like up here, kind of pushing, and then you kind of my mind's been playing it, like you go right low with it, kind of thing, and there's a smoothness to it, and like I said. I'm always up for a challenge. I love going outside of my comfort zone, and obviously, like I know and love Sinatra. I'd love to give it a shot at some point. I'm never closed off to anything. And I
You
think
could
it'd be
have
a
the
rad
next big
experience.
Christmas album, I think. You know, Michael
I
Bublé's had Christmas on hold for a while now.
Yeah,
I feel like there could be a new Christmas classic.
man, I'm aligned. I'm aligned. Hook me up and I'll get it going for sure. But thank you as well too for the lovely compliment.
The song Beat Up Car is the most played song with 800,000 spins. Why do you think people love that song so much?
I think it's like, to be honest, it was one of those that like it was never a forerunner in our mind as a band, kind of thing. We did that as the first song with Isaac as like a tester of being like, hey, let's run with this, see how it turns out, see what you guys think, like, and then if we like go the right direction with it, then we'll manipulate everything else to kind of like fit in with this because it's got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of different sounds, a lot of old synths that would kind of fall out of tune as well too. And then it was one of those that like, dude, it just like it came together so well. And I remember listening to it for the first time, doing one of the stress tests in the rental van in LA that we had. And we listened, we cranked it up, and we were just like, this rips. This is awesome. But at the time, like the label didn't see it as a single or anything like that, but we did it as the focus track. We kind of compromised as the focus track when the full like album kind of came out. And man, honestly, I think it's just like that fed up mentality of just being like the lyrical composition is just like yelling it, being like, it is what it is kind of thing. And I guess it is this. And I don't know. I just think it resonates, and also some of my favorite lyrics that have we've ever put down to paper. It was one of those that like it just came out, and I was like, "Oh, this is rad and potent, and it tells a message, and just feels good to kind of yell that shit out."
You released three covers during the pandemic, and then you've released three new songs in 2026. My question is, are those three new songs, are they standalone singles, or I think you just mentioned there's an upcoming album?
Yeah, I may have let that slip. I'm not sure when we're announcing or when we're putting it out, but honestly, it's got to that vibe where we just want to do music together and put it out and just have fun with it. Obviously, when Strumbellas came in, it got very, very busy, and then Tal moved down to Santa Clara for a year and a half, I believe it was. And it was one of those things that like we kind of regathered our thoughts, and like we had a lot of demos that we were sat on as well too. And then we just started just writing and just like just stuff kept flowing out because we had that little respite of time. So yeah, we have 4 songs that are going to be coming out. I'm not sure the exact date of that. We just released the third out of 4, which I'm really excited about. It's called Marathon. And yeah, we're just kind of like messing with it, having fun. There's no pressure to it. There's no expectations of trying to be the biggest band on the world with it. It's just writing stuff that we really want to hear ourselves and just kind of having fun. And it kind of like softens it a bit with it, where it's like you're just enjoying the art form for what it is and taking it to new worlds and new sounds that yeah, you didn't think existed before, kind of thing. So it's fun.
So you mentioned Tal, and he's the through line between Ascot Royals and Kadeema. And I have some kind words from the Vice Man himself. He says, Jimmy has the most unique personality and musicality, and both stem from his complete inability to be unkind, be it to people or ideas. And he treats all humans and ideas very fairly. He just has to give either one of them time of day, no matter where they're from and what they mean. It makes making music with Jim or being friends with him very easy, but it also means you're going to get some out of the box thinking. Usually, the things that Jimmy is the most insecure about are his best qualities, again, both musically and personally. He's a gamer, a Tottenham mega fan, a wrestling nerd, surfer, runner, and overall goofball. But then he steps on stage and you see the other Jim, a culmination of all of the above mixed in with his signature happy aggression attitude. Oh, and he's got a pretty decent voice as well, and he has a winky emoji. So that's from Tal Weissman.
Oh, I love that man to pieces. He's just magic, man. He's one of those that I talk about songwriting being a therapy. That man himself is a therapy. It's one of those things that I've never met somebody that is so patient, so understanding, and so loving with everything that he does. And it's yeah, I could talk for another 4 hours about what that dude means to me and how much he saved me as well too. Like even during the COVID time of proper lockdown, I had just gone through a breakup and I was in a big flat kind of by myself. He put it upon himself when like you probably like it was just starting to lighten up for the travel and for the movement stuff. He would drive down from Toronto and then come see me, obviously, because it was like I was isolating by myself. He was isolating with his wife at the time. We'd come down and we'd write songs, but it was genuinely just him being like, "How you doing, dude?" Like once a week, just catching up, just going through everything, like just being there for me, and it was so needed. And then we would write during those times, and some of the stuff I don't even remember writing. And there was one song that's like in the mix with Kadeema for like the next one. And I don't even remember writing it, but it's very, very deep to me kind of thing. And I was sat, sorry, in his studio and he's like, "Oh, hey, do you remember this one?" And he plays it and I'm sat on the couch, like my couch is behind him kind of thing. And I was just flooding with tears. He's like, "Oh, you don't remember this one, do you?" And I'm like, "I don't remember anything about this song." And it's such a beautiful, just emotional ride that like I know that once we bring it to stage, it's going to be a nightmare to play live because I'll just be like trying to choke back the tears kind of thing. But yeah, he's been a rock consistently since the Metalwork days kind of thing. And so grateful to have bumped into him. Another one of the League of Best Mates club up at the top where it's just like such nice human beings. And I'm so yeah, I'm so lucky. I'm so grateful to have everybody that I have in my life kind of thing because it gets hard at times.
It's funny if he plays you the song and you're like, man, whoever wrote this is a genius. And he's like, Jimmy, this is your song.
That's what I'll do on the next one. I'll act like I forget it and just be like, "This is incredible." But yeah, dude, he was so lovely and just nurturing of many ideas. And it's one of those things that we have such a good writing collaboration because we can be so quick and honest with stuff that I can be like, not really feeling that, but I'll see it out kind of thing. And it's like, I don't know, it's just like one of the healthiest relationships I have in my life is that beautiful man.
It reminds me of a story I heard about my dad once that when he was young, he got so drunk at a party that my uncle had to drive him home, and my dad was in the back seat, and he's so drunk and he goes, "Man, this is a beautiful car." He goes, "Whoever's car this is must be rich." And my uncle's driving and he goes, "Dennis, this is your car."
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's probably his finest moment. Anyways, let's dive into your career with the Strumbellas now. We've made it through Ascot Royals, we've made it through Kadeema, the Strumbellas. So there's a period of time where the band exists before you join. I want to talk about that a little bit. And then once you've joined until now, do you remember the first time you heard of this band, the Strumbellas?
I honestly like to be quite fair, like I've heard the big songs, I've heard the Our Way, obviously Spirits, Salvation, like In This Life kind of thing. Like I've heard like the top songs floating about the radio. It was the weirdest thing ever because like as I said, like we were with Ascots with Kadeema, we were floating around like different shows, different festivals all the time. I remember seeing their names on posters, but we never crossed paths once, kind of thing, like during the whole duration of that time, which kind of blew my mind because I feel like we've played with everybody from Deer Rouge to Sheepdogs to Colorado to like Big Wreck to Our Lady Peace, Matt Good, like all these different bands we kind of like been on a bill with at some point, like even Tragically Hip in the early days. Our stage was bloody miles away, but we got to be side stage for the hip as the snow was coming down, and it was just like seeing Gord with just a sea of faces in front was unbelievable. But yeah, like I never really took the time to sort of like dig in properly to the strums. And yeah, like but I knew of Strumbellas, I knew of like a grouping of the songs that were there kind of thing.
So in 2022, you become the front man for the Strumbellas. How did you even know that there was an opening?
So it was the weirdest thing. Like around 2021, I got a message from like it was one of those that I woke up to Instagram and it's like Strumbellas have followed you. I was like, okay, I'll follow you back. And then I started listening to some of their stuff. And at the time, I was selling phones in a retail shop and I was barbering, like being an apprentice as a barber at Sink or Swim barber shop in Brantford. And then I was like pushing Kadeema and surfing as much as humanly possible with Tal. So I was in a great place in life, like coming out of that COVID stuff and the breakup and stuff like that. I was in a really good position. And then I looked down on my phone and it was, hey, it's Dave from the Strumbellas. We have a business opportunity for you. Was wondering if you'd be around for a call. So my stupid ass thought it was just like a co-write kind of thing. So I'm like, yeah,
It
dude, for
sounds
sure.
like they're hiring like a social media manager or something.
Literally like that, like, oh, we saw you're good at posting stuff. So like, would you but yeah, so I was like I had cuts the whole day with Cooley at Sink or Swim. And it was one of those that I was like doing my $5 haircuts, like learning the industry, learning the art form of that kind of thing, and like loving life, really enjoying it. I was like, I'm done at around 6. Can I give you a ring at 6:30 when I get home? So I pulled Tal on the phone and I was just like, hey dude, I think they're gonna want a songwrite sort of thing. So like I'll put you on hold, I'll call Dave now. And he's like, oh, can you hang up the phone with Tal and just kind of like catch him up later kind of thing? And then the whole call was they got me from a publicist and they were like, we're wondering if you want to audition for Strumbellas to be the new frontman. And me doing the yes to everything, I was like, yeah, definitely I'll give it a shot kind of thing. And like I've got some homework to do, but like let's go. So from that, like first off I called Tal and was like, hey, do I have your blessing? And he's like, dude, if you're doing music full time, that is incredible. So yes, 100% you have my blessing. Like go for this. Go as hard as you can for this kind of thing. Like work your socks off. So in essence, we started, I think we learned 23 or 24 songs for the audition process. And then also it was like record 4 songs for us to hear your voice, how it sounds. And I think it was Salvation, I'll weigh spirits and then do a spirits acoustic thing. Well, like so Towers away at the time, and like I'm not very good at recording, as you could see when we were signing, we were logging in, and my reverb and stuff was still on this. I was like, how do I turn it off so I don't sound like I'm David Bowie for this interview? So Tal actually helped me like record the parts, and it was wild because I was like in my kitchen singing into this mic, like like rocking out to the Strumbellas stuff, and then I look over like across from my apartment, and there's a lady just being like, "What is happening across my way right now? Like you weirdo," because I'm like singing and like really getting into it and feeling it out. And then I sent them the tracks, and then, dude, it was wild because it was like one, the biggest compliment I've had in music ever. Two, I sat down with them for just a beer and a hangout just to see, because obviously there's so many moving parts to bringing in a new frontman, like, or any position, to be honest, in a band, because like you need to know that you'll be able to hang with each other, that it's a cool hang, it's a nice friendly atmosphere. Um, Creatively, like they're good and they can pull their weight, kind of thing.
That they're
And also,
reliable.
yeah, they can sing the songs and do them justice, and like have fun with it while we're doing it and have a presence. So there was a lot of moving parts, and then there was a big audition process, and it was one of those that like I think I spent 4 days up in Peterborough, just going in and playing. And to this day, like Blake's their front of house at the time, who is a lovely human being. They were recording the whole thing, and it was in Revelry Studio, and it was this old church that we're playing in, and we were in this circle. And dude, I went in and I was so tense, and I was like this, and I was just like, we're all facing each other, and I was playing this stuff, and I was just like, I am completely blowing this right now. And I'm like, hey guys, can I go pee real quick? And so they're like, yeah, sure, of course. So as I'm walking out, still to this day, I think he did this on purpose, where he played back what I was performing so I could hear it back as I walked through to the washroom, because it sounded so much better than I had made up in my head. And I was just like walking out and I was like, whoa, that actually sounds rad. And he's like, yeah, when it's right, it's right. And that stuck with me. And then I was peeing and I was just like, that's right, that's right. Okay, yeah. Like, so just like, what are you doing? Go in and have fun. These people aren't here to critique you. Like, obviously, they want to know that you're good at what you do, but you've got to this point because you're good at what you do. So, kind of like, give it a shot, kind of thing. So I came back out, and then the shoulders were looser, and I started moving around. And that's like the biggest thing for me with nerves is like, if I'm ever feeling them that much, it's just like loosening yourself up and kind of like having that moment of like just moving your body to kind of loosen yourself up and know that you don't need to fight the notes to make them sound good. You need to let them through with ease and soften it, kind of thing. So bit of a head game, but yeah. And then a couple months later, they called me. Dave called me when I was on the way to Toronto, and he's like, "Hey, what do you think of being the new Strumbellas singer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I could do that." And it was cool. It was really cool. And then Simon was very welcoming as well too. So it was nice to get the nod, kind of thing. And then the fans were just so welcoming and lovely, and kind of, yeah, it's been magic. I am very lucky to be where I'm at and doing what I do with such great people.
This next observation might be totally random or it might not be random at all. So if you go back and you listen to Ascot Royals' new Skinny P, a lot of the choruses have group vocals. Do you think there's any universe where the Strumbellas heard the newest Ascot Royals EP and they heard the group vocals in the choruses and thought that is our sound for the Strumbellas? Like they could actually have a preview in advance that, yeah, this would actually sound great with our sound.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them, because honestly, it's like it's one of those that it is such a big vital sound to the whole Strumbellas wheelhouse, if you will, that it's one of those things that, yeah, I'm sure if you're courting somebody for the lead spot, kind of thing, you're gonna turn around and you're gonna like dig back deep and just be like, how does he sound on it? How do you sound on this? How do you sound on this? And I'm sure that that was one of the pieces because that was something in Ascot's we did so well, and I loved having that unified just force. And that's the thing too. I chat about Tal like having him as a second primary vocalist in a lot of the stuff I do kind of softens a lot of the stuff I do because if I miss a line, it's still covered and I can come back and then I can come back into it harder. So having those group vocals are amazing and it's so nice to like dig into that with people as well too because it is an intimate thing and it's one of those that like you want everybody to kind of be feeling good when they go for it so it feels good together as a unified whole. So yeah, it's wild because I get a lot of the fans from Strumbellas being like, your voices, like you and Simon, are so similar at certain registers, kind of thing, tonally, which I take as the biggest compliment because I think he's an incredible vocalist. And so yeah, I'm sure that the groups were discussed and being like, hey, he does that group thing pretty good with this group, so maybe with these guys.
How empowered do you feel when you're on stage with the Strumbellas and there's, I don't know, four or more other people singing with you? A lot of times I go to a concert even though there's three, four, five members, they all have mics. Sometimes the entire set is just the one guy singing. And to me, I always think a band is next level when, as soon as they have harmonies, I'm like, okay, now they're a step above. And as soon as there's two-part harmonies, I'm like, okay, now we're professional. So with you as a singer getting up and you have this whole choir of great singers at your disposal, how good does that feel as a singer?
It's the best. It's the best because you can have the darkest lyrics going for it, but it's such a celebration when you get more voices onto it that it's yeah, there's definitely a movement there that I am very grateful for and I love it. I love it.
This episode has been brought to you by the Women in the Music Industry podcast. It's hosted by music producer Rob Wells, who has worked with global superstars like Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, and Selena Gomez. Through his 1 hour interviews, he shines a spotlight on the remarkable women who are breaking barriers and making their mark in the music industry. Some of his notable guests include Morgan Lander of the multi-million selling metal band Kitty, and Pam Shane, who co-wrote Genie in a Bottle for Christina Aguilera. If you're a fan of the Joel Martin Mastery podcast, you'll love the Women in the Music Industry podcast, which is available on all platforms. Do you remember the exact moment that you received the news that they had chosen you for the band? And do you remember the range of emotions you went through?
Yeah, like I was just beaming. It was one of those things that I was stuck in traffic, like getting up to Toronto, and Dave gave me a ring and he said it so nonchalantly. He was like, "Hey, how would you feel about being the new singer for the Strumbellas?" And I came back cocky and I was like, "Yeah, I think I could do that." And like it was just rad because I remember the last audition. I was a bit croaky, a bit sick kind of thing when I went in, and they were filming it for the team to see, and I kind of like was like, I think I botched this. It wasn't my best performance. Like I like a bit phlegmy kind of thing, sounded a bit weird on some of the notes. So I was like, it is what it is. But like as I was walking out, I just kind of like shook all their hands and was like, guys, thank you for the biggest compliment I've ever received in music. Hope to hear from you guys. If I don't, I'll see you guys on the road, kind of thing. Like hopefully we cross paths. And it was like I walked out and I was like, okay, like maybe not, maybe not. But it was a fun experience and I'd do it again if I had the chance. And then yeah, to get the call, I was just beaming and like kind of teared up a bit and was like, this is wild, man. This is cool. And it was like I've found a way to dig into music and I'm doing it with great people and I'm very lucky, like I said.
So once you find out that you got the gig, then the real work starts. You have to learn not just guitar, not just vocals, you got to learn the lyrics. How does one go about tackling a discography that's already there?
So like literally it became my whole thing. It was one of those things that I would sit there for 3 to 5 hours a night after work kind of thing and just like have the playlist on, like the everything playlist on and then go through and just go in order of that playlist and just like run through a lot of it. And then when we got a set list, so I kind of like familiarized myself with the majority of it. And then once we got the set list, I kind of like went through and just did that in order. The same thing, but did that in order, hyper focus to it. Like if I wasn't doing it on my Logic setup where it would sound a bit better in the ears because I'd be singing into a microphone and playing along to the tracks, I'd then take like I had a binder full of songs and tabs and lyrics and chords and charts and notes of everything. And with that, it would be like me on the couch or me on the bed, just with that open, playing my little acoustic guitar kind of thing to it. And then it was just reps and reps and reps. And then we jammed a lot before. I think it was a corporate gig we played in Whistler was the first like gig, which was amazing because it's one of those things that you get to see Whistler. You go out, you play a gig in Whistler, but it's less pressure as well too for the first one, which is kind of cool because it's like they get it as like a staff party, like they get the Strumbellas to come play. Like there might be 4 or 5 people that are properly like interested, and then the rest are just having drinks and stuff around the
They're just
back.
there
But
for
you're
the cheese platter and the free drinks.
yeah, try and flirt with Margaret in the corner or something. But it's one of those that like it was a rad experience because it's like you're doing the stage thing, but there's no pressure, but there's still people there. So it's like having the nerves of people being there, but also without having the fear of people there because there's not like 10,000 people in front of you and you're like, oh, geez, do I remember it kind of thing. And then yeah, that first year was crazy because we had that one corporate gig, and then we had the OHL thing, and then we had the Ottawa one that you saw, and then from there it just kind of like blew up. They're like, oh, this is working, so let's go for it. So we did like Winnipeg Folk Fest, which is just like you look up and it just goes and goes and goes. And I was like, I'd never forget. I'm not sure who the musician before us was. I can't remember, but I have a video of him on stage, and I like did the crowd kind of thing. And this was before we were about to go on. And I like look back at the video as I posted it to Facebook or Instagram or something, and I was like, "Oh, that's a lot of people." And I was like, it becomes that muscle memory of like, "Can I do it? Let's just go for it." And then the adrenaline kicks, and you're just flying because it's like magic. But yeah.
Was there any song that was more difficult to learn than the others? Whether it's the vocals where there's awkwardly low notes or awkwardly high notes, or maybe one where the lyrics, there's a lot of words that are hard to get, or even guitar where maybe it's a weird strumming pattern that's hard to sing at the same time. Was there any song that took a lot to get it down right?
Yeah, so In This Life has like a sort of riff with the capo, and it's like I had to like sit with John for a while and be like, hey, how do I do this? Because obviously coming from Ascot's, like Kadeema I play a lot more guitar in, but it's one of those that it's all just basic sort of like power chords with Kadeema. But then with strums, actually Shovels and Dirt was crazy for me. It was one of those things that it's like this finger picking thing that I had to sit there. Like once I learned like the idea of like the lyrics and the songs and the melodies and had a sort of understanding of that stuff, then I kind of like went into just like those parts on guitar. We'd be watching a movie or something, and I'd just be finger picking my strings like the whole time and just like quietly but doing it so that I could just get that muscle memory locked in because I remember the first time playing it and just like clunking it a little bit but getting away with it, or at least I think I was getting away with it. And yeah, it was quite a drastic learning curve because it's like whenever I had downtime, I'd have my guitar in my hand and just be working, 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 working. But it doesn't feel like work because it's the best job on the planet.
Let's dive into the album and the EP. So in 2024, you released Part-Time Believer. There's two singles, Hold Me and Running Out of Time. Man, both of those sound like hit singles to me. Did you feel pressure making that album with it being the first album that you're a part of with a band that already had multi-platinum success, had, already won multiple Juno awards? Did you feel pressure on that debut album? Or did it feel like something new with you and the band? Like this is our first thing and you're more excited than anything?
Yeah, so it was both. Honestly, it was so much an excitement. I kind of like I found myself like just because I'm a bit of an overthinker and a bit of a worrier, I'll put my helmet on for everything that we're doing. But it was like the announcement got received so well. The shows had been received so well. Um, and then going through and like just doing a record and having it where it's this thing, I'm just like, be authentic, do what you do. And it's like what's amazing about Strumbellas is always this community of writers kind of thing. Like the whole gang's together. So we'll even have it where it's like nothing's set in stone. So even the day before we're going into track vocals for a Hold Me or something like that, we'll be like going through being like the lines. Can we beat them? Is anybody rubbed the wrong way by any of the lines? What's going on? So it was almost like that togetherness was kind of perfect for it, which softened a lot of the fear for it. Um, and yeah, so it was just like I think always when you're putting your art out there, you're sat with it for so long that it becomes such a place for you, and then you're kind of giving it to the crowd or the people who are lovely enough to listen to it, and with it it's like they can kind of create their own from it. So I don't know, I feel like the response was magic, and we were very lucky, and like it was weird because we released it and then we played Vancouver for the first night of the Part-Time Believer tour. And that next night, I saw people singing like track 7 of that record back to me, and I'm like, this has been out 12 hours maybe, if that kind of thing, like 7 to 12 hours. It came out, and these people are already singing it back. I was like, this is wild. Like it was crazy. So I don't know, very very cool experience to have.
So I have a fan comment from someone that was at that Vancouver show for the Part-Time Believer tour, and this is a very touching comment. This is from Shane Sauve, and Shane says, "I've had the honor to meet him at their Part-Time Believer concert and their last one in Vancouver. My fiance passed away August 7th, 2024, of an unexpected heart attack at 35 years old, and we got to see them together before she passed. He changed our lives with their music. On her birthday, they sent me a video of them all saying something special, and I went by myself to the second concert so I could thank them in person. Jimmy and the rest of the band are such amazing and heartfelt, down to earth people. I can't believe they took the time to do that. It would be an honor if you told them hi for me. I'm thinking of them all the time and I can't wait to see them again." So that's from Shane Sauve.
Yeah, he's such a sweetheart, and the stuff he's been through has been like horrible stuff. But it's like that's the thing, is the community that you build. It's like if we can help in any way, shape, or form, we're always there for you, because like everybody means the world to us. And yeah, he came up and gave us a big hug at the last tour, the Burning Bridges into Dust, or I don't even remember what our tour was called. But the one that we just had in Vancouver, he came up and we could give him some merch and stuff, and kind of, yeah, such a big heart on the guy, and we're so sorry for what he's been through, and so happy that we can help in any small way, shape, or form, kind of thing. So yeah, it's tough.
We have a fan question from Evelyn Withrow. She says, "Okay, I gave the album a good listen twice around now, and I really like how the songs are well written and seem to address a wide variety of emotions. Please tell Jimmy that he is an incredible artist and that even though the Strumbellas have always been great, they sound even better now that he's been fronting the band for the last few years. Also, his vocal style is so unlike any other Canadian singers that I've listened to, and his voice is very soothing." So she's from the US. That's why she's commenting on Canadian singers. And she says, "My question for you, Jimmy, is about the song Holster. I wanted to know what your personal interpretation behind the lyrics are. I feel like it is perhaps talking about depression after some devastating or traumatic experiences, but having the strength to try and move forward and rebuild your life." So you did mention you don't like giving away the specifics of a song, but she wants to know about Holster.
Okay, so yeah, it's one of those that for me, like. the nail was hit on the head with what she was saying, where it's just being stuck. It's being stuck in those slumps and feeling those feelings when you know you shouldn't be feeling those feelings. Like you're waking up to do music, you're waking up to perform, you're waking up like this is a life that at 15 I would have turned around and like been like, whoa, that's radical that you're doing that. That's amazing. You get to hang out with your buddies and play music all around places that have full rooms singing it back to you. Incredible. But obviously, depression creeps up on you when you least expect it. And so for me personally, Holster is one of those that it is just keep pushing through and kind of trusting the process, even if you do not want to be there, you do not want to get out of bed, you do not want to do the thing that day. It's yeah, it kind of yeah, she kind of nailed it with my interpretation of what that means to me, kind of thing. And yeah, it's funny because that one just came back into our set for this summer, which is creepy that she picked
So
that one.
she's in Michigan. So if she can go see you guys sometime, maybe she'll see her favorite song.
Yeah. Come say hi if you're out because we make a point of trying to come out and see everybody after.
So the album had its two singles, but I want to nominate a deep album cut as like an unsung hero. Can we pour one out for Hurricane? I mean, how good is that song?
Dude, that one's rad. We actually recorded that one in Toronto, and yeah, it was an idea that I believe Daryl had to begin with, and brought it to the band. And yeah, it just flowed. And then I think Dave came up with the repetition in the bridge coming through, kind of thing. And then it just like pieced together, and it's such a rad song. It's wild because it's only been like a year and a half since I think no 2 years. I'm not too sure when we did it, but it was one of those that it's flown by so much. We've done so much on that record that I was just like, this is crazy. My dates are all skewed.
Well, we'll dive into something that's a little newer. So the EP you released in 2025, Burning Bridges into Dust. So there's three singles, Hard Lines, Maybe It's Me, Skin of My Teeth. Maybe It's Me. Man, that chorus is so good. And I think that perhaps your superpower is your ability to write great choruses because in again, listening to your entire discography, whenever you get to the chorus, something undeniable happens. Do you think that's a superpower you have is writing great choruses?
So I will say people molding great choruses in for me, like Tal and like they kind of like clean up my thoughts with it. That being said, though, so that actually came from Tom Darcy we were working with in the city. And basically, like we had a co-writing session, and that came on, and I was just like we manipulated a little bit as we went through, but it was one of those that like that was a whole togetherness of writing that tune, and that tune was actually sticking about for Part-Time Believer. We had it in the mix for that one, but then we're like, we need to bring this back. This is such it's still stuck in my head kind of thing. So we brought it back for Burning Bridges into Dust, and like we're like this needs to see the light of day, you know.
When you play the song Hanging Out in My Head live, do crowds dance?
More so clap because it's one of those that it is very like do. So like some people have like a little jig going, but the other thing too is it's usually first on in our set. Like the last tour that we did, it was the first track that we came out to and played. Now it's like track 4 in our set. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it because a lot of the times the crowds are kind of like sussing you out for the first little bit of the set and then they start moving and shimmying, but definitely clapping at least.
So my last comment about that album and the EP is I really enjoyed both of them. I thought they were extremely strong. Like there's no filler in there. Every song is awesome. So I think you with the band have something really awesome going on when it comes to the recordings.
Thank you so much. We have a lot of fun with it, and there's a lot of debates and a lot of moving parts that go into picking which hits the record and where we go with those songs. So it's a cool process to be in because it's like an army of strums kind of going for it and doing our thing. So, but thank you, that means the world.
So I have a fan question. And I don't know what this means from this question. So I think it might be like an inside joke thing with the Strumbellas. So hopefully you know what this means. So Mike Lalonde says, ask him how Banana's twin is doing and the random connection between me and Nixon Boyd of Colorado that led to us chatting online a bunch during the pandemic. I think that speaks a lot to one of the cool things about the pandemic and big stars being able to meet a lot of the fans virtually because shows and tours were paused. I encourage you to research Banana. She is also famous. Who or what is Banana?
So Banana is my little cat, my little gray chunky cat. She's usually around, but I don't know where she's at right now. But so we played St. Catherine's, and it was one of those that we started the set, everything was going smoothly. Tokyo Police Club, we were playing with them that night. Um, and what was it? I don't know if it was like, I think Izzy's violin or something. There was a problem with one of the lines or something along those lines. There was something that was going wrong. And it was, JMO went down the mic and was just like, hey, stall for time. We need some time to get Izzy's up and running, Izzy's violin up and running or something along those lines. And I was like, I'm not the best at public speaking, which is weird considering the industry that I'm in. So I was like, oh, geez, what do I chat about? And no word of a lie, just as I thought that, Mike had thrown this pillow of my cat up onto stage. And I think there's a picture by Steph Montany of like where I was like holding up the cat going, this is my cat Banana kind of thing. So it was one of those like perfect timing moments because we needed to buy time. We needed to make it not look like a bit because obviously you never want to show to the crowd, oh, one of the cables is messed up. We need to fix it. Like it kind of takes away from that experience. So the timing was like chef's kiss. It was one of those things that I was just like, I think I looked him in the eyes and was just like, thank you so much for doing that right now and like just checking it out. Because yeah, and she's fine. It's the funniest thing though, because my cat will be sat there on the couch and then she has her pillow behind her, so she looks so like posh and like
So
pretentious
majestic.
literally like just a bit of like a queen on the couch with her pillow behind her and yeah, it's the best. It's wild, like some of the stuff that comes up and happens during everything in this life.
Mike's just out here doing the Lord's work. What's funny is I know Mike, he hosts open mics here in Ottawa. So I've gone and performed at his open mics before, and he's awesome. He he literally goes to every show that happens in Ottawa and other cities, and he normally brings a bubble gun. So any
Yeah,
concert I go to, there's 40,000 people and I look and I see bubbles and I go, oh, there's Mike. And I'll walk up and I'll find the source of the bubbles. And every band at some point points out the bubble guy, like, oh, hey, man, those bubbles are awesome. Like he's a part of every show. And I just commented on his post. The radio station here, 88, 89.9, I forget what it is, but the radio station just posted a picture of Mike being like, hey, if you've ever seen bubbles at a concert, it's Mike. And he's gone through 25 different bubble guns over the last few years because anytime a kid seems to love the bubbles, he'll give them the gun or the gun breaks or whatever. So, yeah, shout out to Mike.
dude, he's such a sweetheart. Yeah, big shout outs to Mike.
So before we wrap up, I just want to touch on the live world. You guys have you're always playing shows, you're always touring, you have a bunch of festivals coming up over the next few months. If our listeners go right now and they buy a ticket to any of the upcoming shows or festivals, what can they expect if they've never seen the Strumbellas in concert?
Honestly, like I like to kind of just like say it's just an escape right now. It's one of those things that like I went through a real tough time kind of like seeing purpose for like a minute with what we were doing with everything that's going on in this planet right now. And then I was like, hang on a minute, no, double down. Like this is an escape for people as much as it's an escape for yourself kind of thing. So honestly, just like a celebration of the moment and the being present and just kind of just shouting the lyrics as loud as you possibly can and dancing and getting sweaty and just like working through anything that you need to work through kind of thing. Because I realized like how much this stuff is actually needed right now, especially now because we're so in touch with everything that can be horrible that's going on. So yeah, just an escape, just come with a loved one or a family member or a friend or whatever it may be, and just kind of let loose for a good 90 minutes if you fancy, and hopefully you leave smiling or crying in a good way, and like just having fun with it, to be honest, because it's just good friends on stage doing what they love.
Just a few weeks ago, on June 27th, my friend and I did a mini road trip from Ottawa to Cornwall. It was about 2 hour drive. And we saw you guys at DevFest in Cornwall. And also on the bill was another legendary Canadian band, The Trues. And for the final kind words of the interview, I have frontman Colin McDonald, who says, it's not an easy gig replacing a lead singer, but Jimmy does it with acumen and confidence. He's got a great voice and he's fun to watch. So short and sweet from Colin the Trues.
That means the world, honestly. One of the best voices in the game right now. That guy, watching him sing, it's just absurd. Like that night at Deadfest, I was just listening and I was just like, oh my gosh. How's it? And same thing with Brian's show when he did an AC/DC tune. And it was just like, sheesh, like that boy can sing. So that means the world coming from him. Thank you.
That concert, it was like 2 hours of him hitting the lowest and highest notes and screams. And I was like, I don't know how he can do this every night and still keep doing it every night.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So like very, very impressed. Yeah. So like that means the world, honestly. Thank you so much.
Probably 6 to 9 months ago, I did an interview with him and he actually shared his warm up routine. You know, you can't just go on stage cold and do what he does. So it was cool to hear, okay, you got to do this and maybe a little hot water with honey. And there's a whole thing to be able to pull that off. Or, you know, you start way early in the day. So it's just you're always warmed up. It's not you're cold and then you turn on.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big build in the process with it, and it's yeah, I'm so grateful for my warm up techniques because there are some days that you feel a bit kind of bound up and a bit kind of gravelly, and then it shakes the cobwebs for sure. So it's rad.
So we've made it to the final few questions. When you look back on your life and your career, what are you most proud of?
Oh, that's a tough one. Um, Honestly, just if I can, this is gonna sound cheesy, but if I can make somebody have a sort of magic experience and a magic sort of moment, like with the live, or even digging into a record or a song or a moment, if just kind of like touching people's lives with that, where it's just one of those things that like if you can sort of like help anybody in any way, shape, or form, I'm very grateful for that. And Yeah, just lucky to be where I'm at. Like I said, it's one of those things that this is the strangest career on the planet, and the fact that we still get to do it, I am yeah, I'm proudest of just getting to this position and being able to stay in this position and enjoy this position and not take it for granted, and hopefully keep my feet on the ground and just love what we're doing and be so lucky to be here and the people we meet along the way. It's just been wild. Like I said, I've got like two hands full of people where it's like 10 people that I can count on my hands that I'm so grateful to have in my life. And without music, without me being that stubborn 16-year-old trying to figure it out, I wouldn't be here. So yeah, probably a whole long story long, all of it and the above. You know what I mean?
You have your whole ride or die crew. And also, we love the cheese here, so you can lay it on thick. There's no problem there. If you could sit down next to your 10-year-old self and you could whisper words of advice, taking everything you've learned since 10 years old, all the lessons and mentorship and experiences and highs and lows, the successes and failures, what do you whisper to cute little Jimmy sitting there to help guide him through this human experience? Does cute little Jimmy at 10 have amazing hair or was it cut short?
Yeah, it was long and then just big chubby cheeks coming out. Um, Honestly, just trust yourself more than you do, even today. And have it where it's just like just keep pushing forward, just keep enjoying it and yeah, keep an open mind and take everything a bit less seriously.
Final question. Is there anything that you would like to say to the fans that have supported you over all these years across all these bands?
Dude, honestly, just thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I never thought that like this would be a thing kind of thing. And every day I wake up, I'm grateful for people showing up and people listening, whether it be Kadeema, whether it be Ascots, whether it be Strums. It's yeah, I'm so entirely in debt to you guys. And anytime that I can come out to merch and hang out and shoot the shit and chat, I will. Like the times that I don't, it's probably because I'm resting this silly voice. Um, but yeah, like I see you and thank you so much for every bit of support along the way. It means the world.
So, as we wrap up, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you for your lifelong pursuit of mastery as a guitarist, as a singer songwriter. I commend you for having a big vision for your life, for setting goals, for working towards them on a daily basis. You've shown the rest of us what's truly possible if we also commit to having a vision for our lives, if we commit to working towards our goals. I want to thank you for putting out great music that's become the soundtrack to the lives of people from all around the world. And last but not least, I want to thank you for this interview, sitting down with me for the last 2 hours, answering all my ridiculous questions. So, Jimmy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me. That flew by, to be honest. I can't believe it's been 2 hours. Cheers for having me, man.
You're very welcome. So, to the Jimmy Chauveau fans, to the Strumbella fans, to the Kadeema fans, to the Ascot Royal fans, to the podcast fans, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Who would you like me to feature next for a 2 hour deep dive interview? You can let me know in the comments. You can also send me an email at joelmartinmastery@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on all social media platforms at joelmartinmastery. So I am done. I am complete. I approve this message, and I'll see you on the next episode.